these creator tokens just have an expiration date. So in that sense, they're not much better than like meme coins, right? And by the way, if I'm gonna trade creator tokens, I'd rather just own pump.
I think a very interesting kind of like take the social temperature of what people think, right? And sometimes those things tend to be a lot more accurate.
What do you think is the value proposition? Do you think these things rip day one, you get a bunch of creator fees, and then volume dwindles out over time? Or
that's the institutions talking dirty to us crypto natives right there. I swear.
Welcome back to the Rollup.
This is your home to learn from the biggest guests, the brightest minds at the tip of innovation.
Our goal is to help spread the collective knowledge of everyone in our community.
We are breaking crypto out of its echo chamber and taking it to the real world.
All right, let's get Farokh up. He's in the back. I think he's ready. He's on now. It is the literal midst of the prediction markets mania right now. You are positioned over a year ago. You saw this coming, man. Welcome to the show.
What's up, guys? It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you, man. It's a big day for us.
Because age is good, man.
Yeah, I hear you. And we might have Carlos join you for a bit, so might get institutional real quick, but we're just going to get started. He's got a hard stop. We got a little complicated there. We're trying to make this as fun as possible. But man, we are in the midst of the prediction markets meta. You guys are obviously building Myriad. I've got you as Farokh on prediction markets times media. Give us your prediction markets times media thesis. Why is this such a powerful combination? And how do you feel that this is going to shape the future of content media in general?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you having me to talk about this. For us, we made the pivot. Well, not really the pivot. We decided to get into prediction markets in March 2024, so about 18 months ago, from ideation to like execution. Then we launched September 9th last year in beta to like 2,000 users, like small group, and then fully launched USDC markets earlier this year. But for me, it just made perfect sense, right? You run a large media company. I mean, at this stage, we own Rug Radio and Decrypt Media, right? Decrypt Media being the second largest news site in the industry after CoinDesk. So we're arguably one of the largest media players in the game. And as you both know, media companies are extremely hard to monetize, right? It's very hard to make money as a media company. You're either bleeding cash or you just barely break even until you sell to a billionaire, right? I think that's why Time was acquired by Benioff, and then Bezos buys WSJ, Elon Musk buys Twitter. So there's always that. But the thing is, that's not enough. And so Lox and I, my co-founder and CEO, were thinking like, how are we going to monetize this media company? How do you build a unicorn? How did you build a billion-dollar company? And then someone throws this at us in Hong Kong during a meeting last year, like, you guys should do prediction markets. And that was before the poly market boom that really happened during the summer, right? The whole election thing. And as soon as that happened, we were like, okay, fuck it. Sorry, pardon my French. Like, let's go. Let's build this. Let's build a prediction market platform. Makes perfect sense because we own Rug Radio, which is like the voice of the people, right? It's like a crypto native podcast platform that made its way to the White House, right? Led by myself. Then you own Decrypt Media, which is like journalism, right? It's just news, pure news. But then you have prediction markets, which we all know the value of them, which is really where people can put their money where their mouth is, and you can get different types of news. And it makes perfect sense for the media flywheel to enter that and then to become more of a tech company powered by media.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, it's just a perfect combination. Like, well, at a certain point, we're pushing the frontier. I like to think about prediction markets almost as these like alternative realities that can take place. We just don't know which one of them is going to take place yet. And it kind of puts your mind in this quantum reality where it's all probabilistic. We have a probability of going into this, probability of going into that, and it's all dependent on the outcome. And at a certain point, truth, like literally what media is built on, which is truth, and what we perceive is all built around this probabilistic nature of the things around us and the outcomes of those things happening. So prediction markets and media just make such a perfect blend when we're thinking about how we're putting together this world that we live in. So it makes total sense. And I think now you're starting to see some of the prediction market platforms become more news. And they've started at the prediction markets angle. They're going into more media. You start in the media angle and now going prediction markets. Ultimately, I imagine you'll meet at the frontier, the edge of these two markets.
Well, that's exactly what it is. I think 𝗪𝗀𝗄𝗏, for a moment after the election, right? The biggest winner, the second biggest winner after Donald Trump of that election was Polymarket and 𝗪𝗪𝗄𝗏, right? And he likes to say that prediction markets are the source of news. I agree and disagree in that front, right? I agree in the sense that yes, prediction markets won that election and showed that they are a source of news, but people still need different sources. Like you guys are an example, right? Creators, right? But then again, journalism done right? Without we see mainstream media do it wrong, sadly, but journalism done right, which I believe we're doing over at Decrypt. I think Blockworks and other media platforms in the space are doing a very good job in crypto. I think it just adds it on to that. So you're able to really see everything now. It's like what the people actually think, what a journalist thinks, and what a creator thinks. And I think it's up to then the person to go and make their own, opinions out of that.
So, Farokh, we're going to throw you a curveball. We've got Carlos Domingo, the CEO of Securitize, in the back. He's going to join the conversation. This is two different parts of the crypto kind of verse coming together. We've got a lot of the institutional side, and we've got some of this more kind of native, in the on-chain, in the actual kind of state of using the technology that has been built. So, guys, Carlos, welcome to the show. And I think this would be a fun panel to just kind of get both of your perspectives on just some of the latest happenings really in the space. So Carlos, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for inviting me. And sorry, I'm not going to have a lot of time, but I was supposed to be joining at 4:30, but I'll be here for a few minutes with you guys. I didn't want to miss the opportunity to say hello to you.
Yeah, appreciate that.
All good, man. All good. We know how the traffic gets down there in I think where you are. But we've got a very interesting mix here between Securitize and Farokh from Rug and the media side of things. And so, Carlos, just to kind of introduce, you and you've been on the show before, but you guys are working with BlackRock. You're working with some of the biggest institutions in the space, and you're bringing on billions, soon to be trillions, into the space. I'm actually curious because you're not necessarily in this world, but a very, very similar adjacent world. What is, Carlos, your take on the prediction market meta that's forming this entire new asset class? Is this something that institutions are taking a look at? Is it interesting to them? Or generally, how do you see these worlds converging?
I think prediction markets, by the way, are very interesting, and they're not necessarily just a crypto thing. I mean, prediction markets is something that has existed outside of crypto before, and now is becoming a crypto thing as well. I think they're very interesting. I think Farokh was mentioning that I kind of like take the social temperature of what people think, right? And sometimes those things tend to be a lot more accurate. So from the RWA perspective, which at the end of the day is just bringing financial assets on chain, and some of them have price that changes, etc. I think prediction markets are probably a very interesting way of maybe looking at different price predictions for things once they are on chain and they interact with prediction markets. You guys probably are familiar with eToro. So eToro used to have this social construct where people were trying to replicate portfolios by following what other people were doing, etc. So to some extent, prediction markets are like that. Or you could maybe create a prediction market about what portfolio will perform better or what asset will go up higher, etc., and see what people think and whether that gets correlated with what happens on the markets.
I anticipate we're going to start to see prediction markets on the size of the RWA industry. Who's going to be leading? Farokh, from your side, I just kind of a reciprocal question here. Like, how are you thinking about RWAs and the absolute, just the scale of inflows into the space? We have institutions all across the board that are now coming in and they're onboarding their flows and their users and their balance sheet. When you're building for this next wave of institutional capital, how are you framing this? I'm curious also from a media side, have you started to shape kind of a different nomenclature, different terminology that you're using? What's the right way to think about this?
And actually, you're going to love this one, Carlos. We ran prediction markets on RWAs last week.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Awesome. I'll send you the article that our CEO wrote for Decrypt. But basically, we were running prediction markets on the Darth Vader lightsaber that was selling at auction, right? And so you can do that for so many different assets, right? You have an asset right now that, let's say, is going to sell at an auction for X amount of money. Not everybody can afford it, right? A lot of people can't. I definitely can't afford Darth Vader's last lightsaber, right? Those for millions. But you know what I can do? I can take my opinion on whether or not it's going to sell for over under $3 million at auction, right? And I can do something like that and be able to take to have skin in the game and also almost feel like I was part of this auction, right? Almost feel like
price of the auction.
Yeah, exactly. It was a prediction market about the price of the auction. Now we're going to run a few about the price of RM autos, what this Ferrari F whatever is going to go for, or what this Rolex Daytona Le Mans is going to
new
sell.
Avenue of price discovery.
Exactly, new avenue of price discovery, and then it also allows multiple people to have skin in the game and to partake in this. So for us, that's how we approach it on the prediction market side. Now on the media side, yeah, definitely we're covering. I see people on the Decrypt side or journalists cover RWAs a lot. Actually, when Securitize was announced, right? we were right up there, all over that news. Personally speaking, I haven't dabbled too much into RWAs because I like to collect items. I'm a big watch guy. Kind of obsessed with watches in a way.
Nice.
It's a good way. It's a good way to park crypto. But every time I buy a watch, we dump like 40%. Maybe it's correlated. But in a way, I guess that's a good asset to own. But I still haven't wrapped my head around whether or not I want to own the digital version of it. Right. Same thing with the latest Pokemon thing. I'm curious your thoughts, of course. But I rather have the card still. I still rather have the PSA 10 little slab.
This is similar. Like next week, they do the RWA summit in New York. I'm doing a panel with 𝗂𝗵𝗶𝗴𝗵 from Ostium about perps versus RWA.
A debate, yeah.
And it's kind of like the same thing. What you don't, if you want to speculate on price, you don't need to own the asset, right?
Yeah.
But if you want to own the asset, then you need to get the asset. So there's going to be people that are just speculating on price, that they would like to buy the digital version or a fraction of a digital version just to see what the price does. And not actually own the asset. And there is people that would like to actually own the asset, right? They're not going to buy like a fraction of a Picasso. They'll wait until they have money to buy the actual Picasso and put it on their home. So the same thing, I think, applies to all sort of financial assets. Some people want to own stocks. And then, if you do tokenization of stocks the right way and the token represents the stock, they're going to buy it. And some people are just speculating with price and they're going to buy some of these weird derivatives that are out there that do not have any intrinsic value, but they just track the price for people to speculate with it. So
this is the thing, right, Carlos? Like NASDAQ said that they're going to go and they're going to tokenize a lot of these equities. BlackRock has said that they want to tokenize these ETFs. Which one is the real, like, if you have it on both and you can speculate on price on both, and where does settlement take place? What is your reaction to some of these offerings from regulated entities that are talking about tokenizing their assets?
So the announcement from NASDAQ and DTC is actually not what I will refer to as like the tokenization the way I will do it, because it's just basically everything stays what it is, right? DTC has a ledger already that keeps track of all the shares that are tradable, and they're going to use a blockchain for that. But then it's going to trade in the same place, which is NASDAQ, with the same market participants. So you and I or any other one will not be able to, become a new market participant there. So while it's great to see NASDAQ and DTC, pushing for tokenization, I don't think that is a radical departure from where we are. What I think tokenization is more interesting is when you can actually take shares in native form outside of DTC and put them on a blockchain where people can trade them in new market structures, whether they're like DEXs or all type of crypto centralized exchanges that have the right licenses to trade equities. You can then use them as collateral for borrowing, etc., which you will not be able to do with the way that NASDAQ and DTC announced the other day, because it would just be within the same place. We tokenized a company called Exodus, and that is in both places, but two different shares. Like there's some shares that are on DTC, some shares that are in the books and records of the transfer agent using a blockchain, which is essentially tokenization. And that's, I think, the interesting part, right? Or things like, Beetle or some other products we have where the token does represent the actual the security, and that trades outside normal market things and can do things like peer-to-peer transfer, trade 24 hours, have instant liquidity on chain. And that's what I think is interesting about tokenization. Tokenization, just to keep everything as it is.
Yeah,
it's maybe a more efficient way. It's an efficiency play. The other one, it's a way to create new markets, right? In innovation, I always say that there's some innovations that provide efficiencies and some innovations that create new value because people do new things or things that you couldn't do before. So anything that is just pure efficiency is less interesting than creating new markets, new value, allowing for new functionality, which I think is where the interesting things will happen.
Yeah.
It's just like, I was talking to somebody else. I mean, you guys are all very young, but I do remember when internet started, you had the American Online or MSN, walled garden, and then you have the open internet, right? So for me, and the open internet ultimately is the one that we're all using and where all innovation happened, and it happened because it had permissionless innovation, right? Anybody could actually create a website, talk to any other, create a new protocol, a link to any place, etc. And the other things were walled gardens closed for only the approved market participants, if you want, that could post content or do things, and those things die, right? Because they were just basically an efficiency version of other means of distributing content, while the other thing was an open platform for permissionless innovation, which is what a blockchain is, right? So I'm a big proponent.
There we go.
the second
That's
model.
the institutions talking dirty to us crypto natives right there. I swear, that's what that sounds
By
like.
the way, some institutions like BlackRock do share this belief, right? Because they tokenize
That's
in the
what I'm
public
talking
Ethereum
about,
blockchain.
baby.
That's where they started.
Yes,
They
Carlos,
decided to do it on a permission blockchain closed only for their partners and their friends. So I do believe that the real tokenization that will create disruption and new stuff that we cannot even think about it will happen on public blockchains where permissionless innovation will flourish. So
Ethereum coded.
Ethereum coded indeed. Carlos,
more than just an accounting software.
Carlos Domingo, we will let you go, brother. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, thanks for letting me join for even 5
going
minutes.
with Farokh.
Congratulations, and
Hey, Carlos.
I'll join.
Thanks for joining, man.
Thank you. Bye bye.
See you next time, Carlos. Thanks, man.
I love that.
Just a little, jump in there and then just.
Oh no, I was like, I got hit up by a friend. I was like, yo, this is so random. Why are you talking with the CEO of Securitize guys? I'm like, dude,
That guy's working with BlackRock.
I'm like, dude, the guy's like BlackRock and Morgan Stanley's fucking blockchain. And I'm here like, yo, so this market was a lightsaber,
Yeah, this guy pulls the Darth Vader lightsaber RWA.
That's the RWA that we're talking about.
Dude, that shit was hilarious,
oh my
bro.
God.
He's like, okay.
That's not a T-bill.
Well, like the thing that actually worked though is that like you were saying that you like to own the watch, you like to own the asset, and he totally agrees with that.
It's the same principle.
It's the same concept, just on a grander scale.
Right?
Yes, exactly.
Not just price.
Securitize's whole thing is like, look, we want to have the actual asset be in custody in some form, be natively issued, not these wrapper versions and all these derivatives.
Yeah, I don't like that stuff. I'm not too convinced about that side of the RWA narrative. Like I've talked to a lot of watch companies that have tried to bring it on. I was in Geneva with like one of the biggest the company that owns like one of the Cartier and all these brands, right? And they flew me out there so we could have a conversation about like how do they want to approach like the watch industry for crypto, like what's in the brain and the head of like the next wave and generation of buyers, because that's us, right? They can't wrap their heads around the RWA side, and I can't either. And I'm like, technically, I should be able to. Right?
It gets super fugazi when it's like, okay, we have $1 billion in like equities or whatever in our balance sheet. We want to do tokenization because it's like the hot meta. So boom, we just write on paper that now we have a tokenized version. Now we have $2 billion on our balance sheet, but it's like, wait. There's still just $1 billion.
There's only 1 billion. Yeah, exactly.
So that's where it gets kind of hairy, and it's like, okay, well, we have to actually have native issuance, or you got to make it clear like this is just a digital representation. It's actually it's going to settle with the same assets that you have off chain.
Introducing Extended exclusively on Starknet, a next-gen perps trading platform live today. With 50 plus trading pairs from crypto to TradFi, you get the best experience on chain today. Deposit in the community vault for attractive returns, EMV compatible, and engage in unified margin spot trading, lending, and perps trading.
Farokh, coming back to our prediction markets conversation, that was just a big intro.
I love it.
Super random. So we've been doing a lot more thinking about like two-way interactions with the audience, right? Like Carlos comes on and gives this take, right? He's doing this debate at the RWA Summit next week, perps versus tokenization, or whatever it is. Now it's obviously we have an Oracle problem here where we don't really know who's going to win. There's not going to be a winner, but like there's got to be a way that we can get our guests to come on the show, have a take, have a claim, set up a prediction market for it, get our audience to be able to bet or gamble or bet or predict alongside us, and basically create this kind of shared value loop where we can create this economic relationship with our audience. How do you think the evolution of creators and prediction markets is going to unfold when it comes to like creating these deeper ties other than just like the typical creator fan relationship?
I mean, this is the end goal, right? Like to be able to say, okay, let's make a call right now with your guest. Let's say with me, let's be able to spin off a market, get the market out, get some volume on it, and get the right resolution. And then there's an end goal. The problem is, I'll tell you first, like the hurdles, right? First and foremost, not every market is going to have enough liquidity to do that. You'd have to like seed liquidity for a lot of these markets. And we know that's the biggest problem for most prediction markets, right? It was a problem for us. It's becoming less of one right now, but it's going to be a problem for 99% of them. And that's why 99% of them are not going to be around in a year from now. That's just the truth, right? Second hurdle is resolution. you've just talked about oracles, right? I know Polymarkets ran into their own issues with 𝗼𝗵, right? Which is probably why like 𝗪𝗁𝗃 is still centralized, right? It's all done internally, which is why we started off as centralized. We're developing our own oracles in-house, working with some great tech partners, etc. That'll all come. But how do you set the resolution, right? Is it you guys that's gonna set the resolution to, let's say I make a call on this like Darth Vader thing, right? Whatever. I guess it's easier to set the resolution, but on a random call that we're making, like Bitcoin is gonna be at that price by then, or the roll-up's going to get that many amount of gas by that time, or views and stuff. Like, it's extremely hard to find resolution source. So we have to agree to resolution source that's very strict, because you can't fuck with the resolution source, right? Once it's there, once it's stamped, once it's in the market, you can't go and make an amendment, right? Because you're playing with people's money. So that's where it becomes very tricky. Now, live markets on screen, blah, blah, blah. That's not that hard. We've built a tool for that. We can already almost bring it up. And or creator markets, where it's like, you guys tell us in advance, like there's ways to that. Like you guys call us in advance, like, yo, today we have Carlos coming on. And this is the skew of guests that we have coming on. That's the broad topics. Here's 5 markets that we believe will be pertinent to what we're going to talk about. Okay, cool. I'll have to say Myriad, right? The Myriad team goes back. Let's see where 𝗪𝗁𝗃, Polymarket, whatever. But obviously the bigger ones are less prone to do something like that. But like someone like us will go in, we're like, okay, let's make 5 markets that actually fit what, Robbie and Andy are going to talk about today. And then you have them ready in advance. You guys are pushing them to your markets, to your audience. They're able to predict live, on air, etc. Leave it open for X amount of time, and then that's resolved in a timely fashion, blah blah, and done right. And then there's a percentage resolvement, let's say, that goes back to the creator. So that's the way we're approaching it right now. It's like, hey, like Easy and Clemente, we're doing a 30-day challenge for trading. So then Easy's like, yo, and Clemente, can Myriad launch a market for that? Like, okay, fuck it, let's go. So we did a market for it, and people were able to like take.
Dude, that's what I'm talking about, man. Those like, fast crowdsource markets that like,
you have to.
There's those 3 problems that you mentioned, but like, right now Polymarket's slow to do. They have very strict rules because they use 𝗼𝗵 and they have Oracle. 𝗪𝗁𝗃, I think, is getting to the point where they can do a bit faster. But these like dude, it doesn't matter if there's $500 of volume on the market in the first week because it's a new thing, dude. I don't care. Like it's going to be $5,000 at some point, and it's going to be $50,000 at some point. Like it's just a matter of time. But I think that like innovation flywheel is what we're trying to achieve with, at least with like how we're thinking about it. And I imagine a lot of other creators will kind of also be wanting to entertain you guys.
That's the way. I mean, I started off like you, right? I'm still a creator. I still have my morning show every day, right? And so this is exactly why we did prediction markets, because we have so many creators. Like we work with Mando, Ovi, 𝗵𝗵𝗴𝗵, Tyler, myself, like et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we're able to like just push these markets, and we're using our own platforms to do so, right? We even launched a prediction market show, blah, blah, on Thursday. But the thing is, like, we're able to now create markets around what we believe we're going to talk about and then push volume to them, right? Because it's pertinent to our crowd. Same thing for Decrypt. Like if you go to Decrypt Media, there's markets inline on every single article. We've built the SDK where, like, as you're reading an article on Decrypt Media, you're able to predict natively within the Decrypt platform.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, we've done that with CoinDesk as well. So it's not just for us. Like, we're trying. Our goal, like the way we see our growth is by doing that, right? This is why you're going to compete with the $10 billion poly market or the $5 billion 𝗪𝗁𝗃, right? These numbers just dropped like 2 hours ago. It's like, wow, it's crazy. But at the end of the day, like, this is how I think we're going to be able to, like, kind of not play catch up, but like innovate in a way.
$10 billion term sheet, Polymarket, right? $10 billion.
Yeah, they did. That just came out today.
With $3 billion in cash. Something like that came out.
So I put out a tweet that was like, I think prediction markets can get as big as Binance in terms of volume, whereas people are thinking of them as like just a prediction market. I'm thinking of them as more of just like an obfuscated perps platform, or an obfuscated kind of like trading platform. What is your scale of TAM here for Myriad, for Polymarket, 𝗪𝗁𝗃? Let's say like top 3, top 4 markets end up with 80% of the volume. What is that volume? What is that daily, numbers? Like, is there any kind of estimates that you would have for us over like a 5-10 year horizon, maybe? And I'm not saying like exactly perfect, but like, we're talking like trillions settled every month. Are we talking like a billion a day? Like,
I mean, what are meme coins doing right now? Like Pump funded what, 18 billion in 30 days? Yeah. Something like that in volume. Like, like it's impossible that prediction markets don't start like beating that by a mile, right?
Wow.
Because the thing is, people don't understand. Prediction market is not a meta. Meta is just like a word.
That's a meme.
Word that's like CT uses, and I use it sometimes. So 𝗵𝗵𝗂𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗃, but like it's childish. Prediction market is an industry.
Okay.
I mean, it's a serious growth industry. It's not a meta. It's like a prediction market, the next big thing. Prediction markets have existed for like 100 years, bro.
Yeah.
The two first apps on Ethereum were prediction markets.
Augur. Shout out Augur.
Augur. They're making a comeback too, right? But like people don't realize just how deeply rooted crypto is with prediction markets. So like you're telling me this, like prediction markets is going to be as big as the NASDAQ, bro.
Yeah.
Like Binance, what? Like it's just like going to be bigger, right? It's going to make as much money as Binance, if not more. Binance are going to integrate prediction markets. It's just going to like just start creeping up and look, people would never expect today that Polymarket would have received a term sheet for $10 billion. To me, I'm just like, okay, cool. Like that's normal. But like everyone's shook, right? Of course it's cool. I'm euphoric as a founder in the space because the TAM now is growing. Like the ceiling keeps raising, right? Like the floor price of these of these markets just keeps going high and high, right? But I don't want to make a call for 5 years, but this is a multi-trillion-dollar industry.
We're not going to put you in that position where you have to make those predictions, but you're absolutely correct because prediction markets are part of the derivatives market. And so they're going to make up, derivatives are like multiple trillions of dollars of business. And I think one thing that we had someone, I think it was AJ that came on earlier, and he said basically this is not just growing market share of an existing derivative sector, it's actually creating an entirely new asset class because of the ability to create more outcomes that were previously not speculated on. Now we have price discovery for those things that were never even valuable before because you couldn't really make them tangible. Now prediction markets make them tangible and they let you discover price on them. And they're already part of one of the most expansive in general industries that is out there right now known to man. So I think absolutely we're talking trillions, not billions. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just like thinking like, how do you even price the financialization of the most prolific asset, which is information? What price do you put on information, which is even starting to be tradable? Like, look at this, like credit default swaps, right? That's a $5 trillion a year industry. You're telling me prediction markets are not going to top that? Like, I'm not even. It's not like Farokh 2021 NFTs, Moonboy, or like a meme. Like this is not that. Like I'm literally in the arena, right?
I'm
like,
so dead, dude.
I'm talking to all these like Carlos dudes all day long outside of the fucking Twitter spaces and stuff. Like you're starting to see it. Like prediction markets are literally going to be the biggest thing. Like, this is going to outpace securities.
Wow. I'd love to get a take from you on something that's adjacent to prediction markets, which is this entire creator streamer token meta, right? Yeah. Like Pump's got Project Ascend. They're doing great. I mean, you have revenue buybacks. The token is doing tremendously.
Dude, ripping.
Absolutely ripping as a result of this new announcement. And very rarely do you see an announcement correlate with the type of movement that you see in the token chart. A lot of times it's just macro based, but in this case, it's actually working. And so I'm curious from your perspective, obviously we have meme coins, but this is a new meta to use your meme. So how sustainable are creator token markets? What do you think is the value proposition? Do you think these things rip day one, you get a bunch of creator fees and then volume dwindles out over time? Or how can you make these sustainable? Generally, what is the right way to think about the creator tokens?
Dude, how many times have we tried to tokenize like people over the last, like, do you remember BitClout? I love that shit.
Oh my God.
I was like one of the first users. Like it was so early on. People were calling everyone on BitClout scammers. It's like, dude, I'm just trying the new thing. Do you remember there was another one? I forgot which one. So obviously you remember Frentech. Obviously now you're seeing a lot of different ones. I'm not saying the same thing because I'm a huge fan of Pump Fund. I bull post Pump Fund. I support Pump Fund. I love what they're doing. But like I just don't see it as much because then like what the person's gonna have to continuously stream for its token to be worth something, but then it's just like a meme, right? Some memes are worth a lot, they get the attention, like the Jet2 holiday was all over like Instagram for a moment, and all of a sudden nobody's talking about it. So it's tough because also creators are a dime a dozen, guys. I've been in the creator game for like 16 years. I started when I was 18 years old. I'm 31 now, but I started my first like blog when I was like 14 years old on Tumblr. So I've been in this like creator economy my entire life, as long as I can remember. And I've seen creators come and go back then on Instagram, and I've seen creators come and go since 2021 in the space, right? Founded Rug Radio, we're one of the largest creator networks. How many people are still here from 2021 creating content? almost none, right? But out of all the ones that are here, how many are relevant? And I don't mean this in any like arrogant way. Like how many creators are relevant today and how long can they keep this relevance going, right? We've been hosting the show for 4 years now. We're still there. You guys been doing this for a long time. You're still there. But like once you're not there, like, or once I'm not there, why would my token be worth anything? So like there's like these creator tokens just have an expiration date. So in that sense, they're not much better than like meme coins, right? And by the way, if I'm going to trade creator tokens, I'd rather just own pump.
Yeah.
100%. You better just own the casino. And I mean, the thing is, a lot of these on the first day, you're going to end up making a ton of cash because like you get this launch, really get this big pump on the launch and you get all this volume. But the volume from there most likely is going to be about negative 90%, negative 95% per day, you know, just kind of like perpetually, because it's just, there's never going to be a time when you make more creator fees than probably on launch, unless you're one of the ones that I do think, even though I completely agree with you, and I don't think we're going to do it because I don't think it's going to make sense for us. And I don't think it's going to make sense for you. There's going to be a creator who runs one to like multiple hundreds of mils.
I mean, if on somewhere to do it.
Yeah, it would hit 100 mil. It would get close.
I mean, his cat hit 100 mil, right?
That was 2024, but like, yeah, I feel you though.
But like it would run. I just wonder, like, see, this is when like you got to get like, I think Pump Fund's going to start getting the big boys onto their platform and see what happens. It's just like whenever it's a token tied to a person, it never ends well. It has nothing to do with the person's intentions. They could be the nicest, kindest person on earth. Like I'm not talking about like ruggy. I'm saying like it just never ends well. And then people have this like weird, it's like really Black Mirror-esque, right?
It is.
There's like this weird value that they attribute to you. We had the conversations, right? Like I think it was Mando was like, yo guys, are we launching a FOMO hour token on Pump Fund? And I was like, dude, and then Tyler, and then me. I'm like, dude, like
I'm glad we weren't the only ones, dude.
We got Myriad TG coming right now. Like we can't be focused on the fucking FOMO hour token. You know what I mean? So it's like definitely not for now. And it's like, yeah, no matter how much money they give out to creators, which hey, maybe the rewards become 120 million, not 12 million. Now we're talking, right? So I think everybody at some point will have a price and the value where they're willing to do it. But I'm always scared of like what happens to, you know, to the quality of the content too, right? With
I completely agree. And then it's not a winning battle for the creator. Yeah. I do think, just to close it off, there's going to be a fat airdrop for streamers on Pump that would probably, it's probably going to be 6 figures if you're doing a good job, and maybe 7. So like that is another thing that I think is reasonably likely, just based on they haven't even done an airdrop yet, and the token's already at like 6 bill. So that's something to consider. Yeah.
You can't stream on Pump without launching the token, right? It's mandatory.
Yep. Same with Zora and all that. Last thing for you, Farokh, I got a flight to catch. We've been on a marathon here. Dude, you interviewed Trump, man. Yeah. What the hell is that like? Like how is that, man? Tell us, like, give us the Trump story. Like, how'd that happen? What was the best line in the interview? Where can we find it?
I mean, dude, it was surreal, right? Because it was the day after the second assassination attempt. So it was September 16th, almost a year ago. So September 15th, 2024. I was under a tent with the Secret Service getting checked at Mar-a-Lago. I literally had like one of the German shepherds up my balls. And then they go, sir, like, you got to step aside. I'm like, what the hell is going on? They're like, step aside. It was raining. So we're in the car waiting for half an hour, 40 minutes. We got a call. Homeboy's like, yo, don't say anything, but something's happening to the president. But don't tweet, because if you tweet, it's going to, you know, everybody's going to know. I'm like, okay, I see nothing. The next thing you know, I got Walter Bloomberg, Delta One, DB. Everyone's like, second assassination on President Trump at the golf course. I'm right there. Like the golf course is like right next to Mar-a-Lago, right? And then I was like, shit, what happens? Like, so I go to a hotel next door. I wait. Is the interview going to go on? And I get a message at night saying show goes on. The president wants to keep the interview on. So how it happened is that I was in August. I was in Japan for WebEx. I'm with the homies, you know, drinking at a local bar in Ginza. And I get a call from a friend. It's like, yo, these guys, they work with President Trump. They're about to launch a project, which is word Liquidityfi, so you guys know it very well. They need someone for Twitter Spaces. You're the guy. Like, you're the Twitter Spaces guy. It's got to be you. I'm like, okay. I get on the call with them. They're like, we know you. I've known the guys for a really long time through my other industry. And like, you know, I've been in the game for a long time. And it's like, we love what you do. We love FOMO Hour, Rug Radio. Would you like to help us with the production? I'm like, I'm down to help you with the production, but can I host a thing? And at the time, they were thinking like Tucker Carlson, and I'm like way bigger. Like I'm not relevant. Okay, outside of that, like I'm just me in the space, right?
Yo, that's crazy.
They're like, yo, let me get back to you. 30 minutes later. Yeah, you can do the Trump interview. I'm like, holy shit. So I go back to the phone, like, guys, we're doing a Trump interview. When is it? In 2 weeks. So I'm in Japan. I had to go celebrate my 30th birthday in London on September 7th.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. 7 days later, I'm on my flight tomorrow. I go on a solo mission. I hired 15-person camera crew that we had in Miami that we've done some work with before. And this is how it happened. Like they called me up, which we pulled up, we did the interview, and it was crazy because the assassination attempt happened, and then Hannity from Fox wanted to be the first to interview President Trump after that. Because, dude, the whole world, the most powerful man on earth, the most influential human being on earth, and at the time, the most popular, right? He was like about to become president, second attempt on his life. So you can think all the eyes are on him, and here I am just shitting myself. And Hannity didn't get it. It was us. And so here I am, like the show's about to start. I pressed play on Twitter Spaces. By the way, it was the most listened to live Twitter Space in the history of Twitter, right? It was like 2.6 million concurrent. And we know that because Elon sent the stats after to his team, right? And so I press start. So when you press start on Twitter Space, guys, there's no going back. There's already 1 million people. Everyone's on me, like, yo, get me on. So I had to get Barron up on stage. I was on the phone with Barron 30 minutes before trying to help him out with Twitter Spaces. I have...
What's Barron like?
Dude, it was super cool, right? But I was just on the phone with him to help him out make a space. He didn't have an X account. It's like, I'm helping Eric and Don Jr. are next to me because I interviewed every single Trump in one night, right? That's what people realized was nuts. And then security comes, they're like, yo, Farokh? And I'm like, yeah, they want to meet you right now. And I'm like, no, I can't. Like the Twitter Space has started. We can't do it. They're like, no, they want to see you. I'm like, oh, fuck. And so I go to the other room. It's just President Trump. It's like 6'5". I'm like 5'7", 5'8". I'm like not that big. And then I look up to him, and then he looks at me. He's like, young man, huh? And I'm like, yeah, I just turned 30 years old last week. And he goes, we're going to have a lot of fun. Bam, shakes my hand with like firm. And then we pull up to the thing. And that's at that point when he shook my hand, all my stress, and I was stressed. I got the Oura ring. I can tell you, my receptors that day were insane. Like, yeah. Insane. And so I pull up to the thing and then just cooked the interview for 35 minutes. Then after that, the whole 𝗿𝗵𝗿𝗵 team, blah, blah. Shout out to them, Zach Chase and that whole team, the 𝗵𝗵𝗃𝗃s, like they were the ones who really helped me make this happen. But it was surreal. Contrary to popular belief, he was super cool, super kind, very supportive of me. I think he's an expert, right? He saw I was stressed out. Because this was the biggest gig of my life. To this day, it still is. Probably always will be. And it was super cool, dude. So that's how it happened. That's
legendary.
To this day, that's the only crypto interview he's given. So
it's insane cool. Lore.
Yeah.
Farokh Sarmad, Prediction Markets, Trump creators. We really appreciate your time, boss man. And we'll definitely need to chat more about this combination and Prediction Markets and media, brother.
We got you.
All right, brother. Well, best of luck in the TG, man. I know it's going to be hectic for you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on, brother.
Cheers, man.
We'll see you next time.